Hello, 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 and welcome to the Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. I am super thrilled today to have a group of amazing Latinas, amigas, who are super powerhouses and badasses, I'll tell you. I am so grateful that I know them, and I know that you're going to love them as much as I do. And we're here to talk real talk. I mean, esas pláticas de las tías, de los padres, de las madres latinas. We all know there's these limitations that we've been living through and surviving through them. So without further ado, I'd like for each of my guests to introduce themselves and where they're calling from and just a short background. How about we start with Veronica? Can we start with Veronica, please?
Sure, it will be my pleasure. Hi, my name is Veronica Franco. I was born in East LA. Woo! I am a first generation from my family. I'm born here. My family is from Sinaloa, Mexico. And grew up speaking Spanish. In fact, I was in ESL growing up. That's where I started. And I'm happy to be here, and thank you, Jackie, for inviting me.
Thank you for showing up on a Sunday. Yes, it's on a Sunday, ladies out there. It's on a Sunday. We work every day. So, my dear Fanny, can you introduce yourself to us?
Oh, yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Fanny Varela. I was also born in Los Angeles, grew up in neighboring cities, Bell Gardens, Cudahy. Now I reside in Whittier, and I'm happy to be joining your podcast. I've been following you, Jackie. Very powerful.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. I love that. Thank you so much. Let's see, who else? Who'd like to volunteer next?
I'll go. I'm Alex Madrigal Chavez. I was born in Orange, California, and I reside in Anaheim Hills, California, and I grew up in the city of Santa Ana, where I currently teach. Nice. So I never left my community. I wanted to stay there and help out my students. So that's what I do.
Welcome. Well, thank you so much. Yes, ladies, thank you. Laura.
Last one. Hi, Jackie. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us. Thank you to Veronica. My name is Laura Brusa-O'Connell, born and raised in Argentina, came to the United States 2 decades ago and a little bit more. Stayed in New York for a decade and now in California for my second decade. My third one. Mother of three, working with my husband right now, but on my past is a nonprofit organization, mental health.
Nice. Thank you. Welcome. And last but not least, our good friend here, Monique.
Hi, everybody. My name is Monique. I'm from Philadelphia. I am second generation Puerto Riqueña. My parents were born in the States, and my grandparents are from Puerto Rico. So believe it or not, I actually grew up speaking English in my household. And my mom would send me to Puerto Rico for the summer to spend time with my abuelita. And that's when I learned to speak Spanish. I've been in Philadelphia all my life. It's a city that I love very much. And Jackie, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, welcome. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here with me and spending Sunday evening. Yes, ladies, amigas, on a Sunday evening, these powerhouses came to speak to us about these cultural limitations. These sometimes could be golden shackles, or they may not be golden shackles, but we're ready to bust through them. I am your host, Jacqueline Tapia. Everybody calls me Jackie, and I'm first generation Mexican-American, and I know you heard my story on my first podcast interview, and I was scared shitless, and I'll tell you the reason is because as a little girl, they scare you to death. That's the thing about being in a Latino family, because that's one tactic to try to stop you. And sometimes they mean well, but other times it's a little too much. a little too much. And when we get stopped, then we recognize that as a limitation later on in life. Now, it could cripple us or it can make us stronger. And these ladies here have chosen the path of strength. And I'm super proud to have them here. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about those limitations. And I know there's not only the fear of like, don't do that, there's also the shame component. And I know that each of us can attest to that component in our culture. And I would love to hear from any of you, what is your experience with shame and how that transcended in your family? Yes, Veronica, please.
So I wanted to just share that I was brought up by a single mother. My mother left my father because he was physically abusing her and mentally abusing her. And you don't do that back in the 70s, right? You don't leave your Mexicano husband, you know. She left him, and I'm so grateful that she did, because she just did what she had to do. And even if her family did not support her, she moved over to Tijuana. We lived in Tijuana for a little bit. And since I was born in the United States, we ended up coming to San Diego, and that's where our life changed. And we were on the system, you know, she was on welfare, and she used to clean houses, but she was there for me. And, you know, there was always this thing, I guess, with my dad's biological father's family, that all the tias got married and white, right? Vírgenes. Yeah. That, you know, as a little girl, that's what I wanted. I wanted to go to the church and just like wear this beautiful white gown and get married, right?
And save yourself.
And save myself, right? And so my mom was looked down on. However, I give my mom lots of credit because she never took that part of the family away. Regardless, my father and her did not work out. She always made it a point for her for me to connect with my primos, primas, tias from that side of the family. But it was always like they looked down on us because my mom was single and I was never going to get ahead. I was going to get pregnant. I was not going to finish school. I was not going to be successful. Let me tell you, I am the most successful cousin out of that group. Mm-hmm. Making a 6-figure income. I'm a VP at a title company. And I love it. And my next goal is to be part owner. So, you know, in their face. Yes. So, you know, that's the thing. Like, you know, yeah. And now my cousins, you know, they've had bad marriages, and now, you know, it's a different generation. But back then, you don't leave your machista husband. No. So I'm very grateful for my mother that she did that. And so just wanted
and
to
you know what, as you were saying, in the 70s, this is like major, because when you are Mexicana and leaving your spouse in the 70s, that's unheard of. And that takes ganas, a total trailblazer.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. Yes. And breaking away from the cycle of violence, even more so, because, you know, being in a domestic violence situation, we already know that it just keeps on going and going and going and going. And she was able to cut ties with the abusive spouse in order to provide for you a better living, Veronica. That's beautiful and super important. And I know that a lot of amigas out there may understand that also, that if they are in a situation like that there are resources out there to help them. But it really starts with you. Tener las ganas de salir y sobresalir. So thank you so much for that, Veronica. Oh my goodness, I love this discussion. So, and what else? I mean, I think that part of shame, like we were talking about, like el quién dirá, el vas a salir con tu domingo 7, as we all know, that is like, in the translation of that is like you're going to come out with your seventh Sunday, which means that pregnancy before getting married. And that's a huge shame in our culture. And I know that, they keep telling you the moment that you get your period, there's the first shame there. Oh, no te vayas a salir con tu domingo 7. And then they don't explain what the heck is domingo 7. Like, do they even tell you what sex is all about? They don't. Anybody would like to contribute to that?
Well, it's Alex. When I was 12 and I started my period, I had no clue, none. I went to the bathroom and I thought, I'm dying. Something, like, I just thought, that's it, I'm dying. And I was so scared. And I remember coming out and my mom was looking at me and she says, you're bleeding, right? And I said, what? How did you know? And she says, it's okay, it happens. And so then that's all she said. Use this, you're fine. And I just remember thinking, what in the heck? So I went to my cousin, who's 2 years older than me. She was 14, 15 at the time. And I asked her, and she's the one that explained it to me.
Yeah.
So then I went back to mom and I tried to ask her, and she just says, well, if si te lo explico a ti, entonces ya sabes. And I thought, okay. And that was it. And that was it. And then she says, te voy a poner una bolsita para la basura. And that was my sex talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was always just don't, and I talked to my mom now about it. Like, my mom says now, ¿cómo era con ustedes? Ay, Dios mío, ¿cómo podía? Now she's like, it was really bad. Not bad, but bad in the sense that she didn't educate us in that way because of the way she was brought up.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a bracero.
Yeah.
So brought my mom and her brothers and sisters to Tijuana while he was in California. And he would go and visit and, leave a little gift for my grandmother. And then he'd come back. And then 9 months later, another little one was born. So my mom is one of 15. And she's the oldest. So when she came to California, she was 13 years old and was never allowed to go to school. And so I think it was just a lot of not knowing because she was so busy raising all her brothers and sisters that when she had us, it was just, that's what it is. Let's go, move on. Yeah. But now we talk about it and she just says it was just fear. Mm-hmm. She goes, tenía un miedo de que ustedes, she knew what we were going to suffer as women. As women. When we were 15 and going out and dense a respetar, no dejen que alguien les falte el respeto. Yeah. And if she would never tell us why we couldn't have sex. She would just say, Dios te está viendo. No, but their best line was, she would say when we would go out, our curfew was 9:30, even though we were going out at 8, but our curfew was 9:30. and so she would say, no se dejen, or what was her other saying she would say? Nada bueno pasa después de que se baja el sol. And so she always had all these ways of just convincing us, you know what, she's right. It is, yeah, you're right. We should, it was just like this mental thing. And like you said, it's just fear. Fear. But it's also like they mentally know how to control us. Yes. And yes. I remember thinking, I will never be that way with my kids. Never, never, never. But let me tell you, there's times where I'm like, aplácate o te aplaco. And then I'm like, oh shit.
Oh my God, you just sounded like my mom.
No, and then I hear my husband going, I'll give you something to cry about. And
yes.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. Our kids don't know. They don't know. They don't know. And so that's the thing. Our kids have no clue.
No clue.
And you know what? In a way, it's like what we worked hard for so that they don't have to go through that. But then in the same time, you kind of want them to experience a little because you kind of want them to appreciate it a little bit more as the way we do.
Right.
But we're so blessed that they will never know what certain things feel like. But
right.
it's just it's just funny
like
with moms. Yeah, for sure.
It's like a blessing and a curse at the same time, right?
It is.
Yeah,
It
I totally agree. I mean, I remember when I still haven't had the talk of the birds and the bees. And I already have an 8-year-old. So it's like, when is that talk gonna ever happen? I mean,
it's crazy. And then you don't know what it's gonna be. I mean, yeah, I know. I'll talk to our 13-year-old and he'll be, Mom, I already took that class. I got it.
you know what? I know that nowadays they are having this discussion in class, and I don't remember, and maybe it's because, some of us were born in the 70s and grew up in the 80s. I don't ever remember having a sex talk.
Well, our parents didn't sign the waiver, that's why.
They have no idea.
Sign it. My mom was like, no, and I went to PE in the gym class. I was in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I remember I wanted to go so bad because I needed to know what was happening. She would not let me go. So I remember there was a waiver.
There was
Yeah.
sex ed. It was sex ed, and it was back in 6th
And
grade.
only 8th grade. 7th, or was it? I remember it was junior high.
Mine was.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, you never got the waiver signed. That's
my badass mama did sign that waiver because she wanted me to be like, okay, this is what's going on. But yeah, it was 6th grade for me. Yeah.
Wow. See, I'm learning this now, girls. Oh my God, I had no idea there was a damn waiver.
English, but
I used to tell her because she didn't know how to read English. Aquí, mami, nomás firme aquí.
Oh yeah. No, I know. There were so many. I mean, obviously we were the interpreters because, of course,
right? We'll be like, it's an F. No, dice mamá, fantástico.
Oh yeah. I remember it used to really annoy me that I always had to interpret.
Yes.
Always. That completely did. I'm like, you've been in this country for how long and you can't speak English? And here I am shaming my own mom about that. You know, she only went to 4th grade. So how can I, at that age, how can I comprehend that limitation? So even I was creating a limitation on her.
Yeah.
It's crazy because now as an adult, I now realize, damn, Jackie, that was very insensitive. Mm-hmm. But I was this like stupid teenager, like, ugh, mom, like, really? Yeah, but yes, the fear and the shame, it just goes hand in hand. Now we know better, I think, or maybe sometimes. But I now know that fear is just, it's what they say, it's called false evidence appearing real. And I know that now, that's fear. Like, it's just something that we believe it's going to be, but we know for a fact that it's not. And so in these situations, these cultural dynamics, I think the older we get, the wiser we become, and then we start learning. And now these women now that are growing up in the Me Too movement, I find that to be super empowering because as a first generation Mexican American, because sex was so, it was shameful, if one of us were being violated, we were first believed that it was us.
Right.
And so I'm super grateful now for the Me Too movement for the younger generations. But, it's things like that continues to perpetuate the circle of violence, because sexual assault and sexuality and sex, those are such huge topics that we in the culture don't tend to talk about still to this day. It is really appalling. And so how can we as adults change the narrative of that? How do you all think about that?
I want to talk because I was do I have to move? It's not that important, but I'm going to talk anyway. No, talking about Alex, I was reflecting, like, my mom had it easy. She has to repeat my grandma but now the mold is broken for me.
Yeah.
So I have to be creative and not be repetitive.
Yeah.
And like Alec was saying, sometimes I heard myself saying the same thing that my mom said, and I do it too, and I hate myself.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I don't have the tools.
Yeah.
And one thing that we do, you know, in a family and pattern is, you know, you repeat.
Repeat. Yeah.
You repeat your models, which is the most comfortable thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes I'm trying to open the discussion with my kids, and they're brighter than me, and they have more resources. And at the end, I'm like, oh my God, I learned from them.
From them. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So my position is not so empowering for them as an authority. Like my mom was an authority, my grandma too. You're not going to say anything to your grandma. It's your grandma.
Yes.
Even though she's the dumbest lady in the world, you're not going. And I love her, same name and everything. But, you know, looking back, it's like, oh my God, this lady couldn't express herself emotionally. She was rough, she was tough, she will not give you a hug, she will not kiss you. She never had anything positive to say to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I say that to my daughter, I'm like, oh my God, I'm my grandmother. And then I'm buying, you know, affection, saying, no, you're the best. And she's like, why do you say I'm the best? Okay, so then I have to go back and pedal back and try to be honest and genuine with my affections, you know, but I never had, my grandmother never hugged me, never said anything good about me. She's like, you're crazy. I hope somebody can guide you in the right direction. Ooh, that's rough. But going back to a shame, and I'm going to say something very little. I grew up in Argentina. My whole life was military government, hand to hand with Catholic Church. What else do you want to know about shame? You want me to write a manuscript or something? It was hard. I went 12 years to nun school, but they were super cool. The ladies were from Spain, were a little more open-minded. Because one of those nuns, she started to talk to me about philosophy and psychology. And I'm like, oh my God, what is psychology? And I'm like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. So every day I remember that nun was Madre Luna. For me, it was the best that she can be at that time. So I judge people according to their circumstances, their history. So my grandmother was the best that she can be at that time, you know. But that was it for me.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Well,
I definitely.
The shame is a shame for everyone, and still are, because if I tell you now, oh yeah, my daughter, she's 14. She doesn't have a boyfriend, but she was, you know, having sex with the boyfriend, and I found them in their bedroom. You will be, oh my God, you're not going to say, it's good for her.
I tell you right now, if our sons have a girl over and they're in the room and the door is closed, you best believe I'm gonna knock that door down.
I'm gonna
But
I'm coming.
Yeah, but it's just, that is still in us, I think.
Right.
That's always gonna be in us, about respect, and because it's just, it was drilled in us. And even though as much as it's just, but I see what your point is.
I know.
We're like this. It's a catch-22 for
But
sure.
it's the lack of
Yes.
back role models and open-mindedness and moving with the time and history.
So we need to do that for our boys.
It's that authority. Like I'm still scared shitless. I'm totally scared shitless of my mom. Like I'm just like Fanny knows. Fanny knows. Like oh my God, I better go. I better leave because my mom is waiting for me. It's like, oh my God, I'm a 46-year-old woman. Like really. I mean, seriously, I feel like Laura and her
Sure,
grandmother.
it's fear and
Or
respect.
respect.
Yes.
I think it's more respect than it is fear, for
Respect in their terms, not
Yes.
respect on your terms.
Exactly.
When you say, I'm
Right.
sorry, you know what, I have A, B, and C, I'm like,
Yeah.
done.
But you know, it's funny. I always joke with my husband. I always say, God didn't give us girls for a reason, because I'd freaking kill them. Kill them. Like, I don't think I can handle having girls, for sure. I mean, I hands down to you, Lola, because I don't know if I could sleep. I don't know.
Yes, God did not give us girls for a reason.
For a reason.
I know Alex, Fanny, and Veronica only have boys.
I have a girl, so I still have yet to find out those circumstances.
Really?
I know Monique was gonna say something.
No, I just kind of wanted to piggyback, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the lady that was just
Laura.
speaking. That's from Laura from Argentina. No, I love something that she said, and I kind of wanted to piggyback on that, was that the women in our lives, our moms, our grandmoms, our tias, they really had a hard time expressing their joy.
Yeah.
You know, they were like always kind of pushing it down and not getting too excited. And just, it's sort of bizarre because speaking about what you ladies are talking about, I'm one of 5 and I'm the only girl. So I have 4 brothers. So I had a hard time growing up because it was like there was this unspoken set of rules for me and then a whole nother set of rules for my brother.
Oh yeah.
For my brothers. And it was like really difficult for me to deal with that growing up. And I would challenge my parents, believe it or not, and say, you know, well, he could do, oh, it's different. You know, we need to protect you. There was a whole nother set of rules for me that just did not apply to my brothers. And it was such a challenge growing up.
Oh yeah. The
Oh, yeah.
protection. The protection.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
We have to
from
protect
what?
you.
Protect
Absolutely.
me from what? Like,
Yes.
like that just didn't, like, what's so different from my brothers?
Yeah.
What do you
Right.
protect me from? Like,
Exactly.
and it boggles my brain, because if I start to think about, you know, protections, yes, you need to be protected from these pedophiles, you need to be protected from these abusers out there, but these abusers and pedophiles are in our own communities, our own families, our own
Right.
families.
Absolutely.
It's like crazy. It boggles my brain, but oh my God, I love this conversation, ladies.
Monique just mentioning about the double standard with the boys and the girls. It was funny because I have a brother, and he was able to go out and oh, the baby, el ojo, yes. ¿Cómo le decimos? El regalo de Dios.
Oh, we know about that.
And I adore him. I mean, he when he was born, he had 4 moms, my 2 sisters and myself and my mom. But when he was going out and staying out to the wee hours of the night, Mama would be like, "Oh, está bien, déjalo. It's fine." But then I said to her one day, "But he's out with someone's daughter.
Mhm.
He's out with someone's sister. Like,
Yeah.
do you not think about that part?"
Right.
But then she would say, "No, es que no las cuida." Then it was someone else. Yeah. And it's
Nosotros te cuidamos a ti. Te cuidamos a ti. La otra familia
exactly.
te
No,
cuida.
si no la cuidan, no es problema mío.
I know,
You know,
right?
but it's
Wow.
like that the people he's out to the wee hours of the morning is someone's daughter who probably feels the same way. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
And then it's a vicious cycle. It's like a vicious cycle. It really is.
It keeps
It's
on
crazy.
it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
keeps moving. Miss Fanny, we haven't heard from you. I don't mean to call you out, but girl, I know.
No. I'm sure she can hear me just fine.
She doesn't need a mic. She doesn't need a mic.
You know, Laura also mentioned about the Catholic Church. You know, I mean, we were, Jackie, I mean, we went Catholic school, and I think they're a bit complicit as well in that shame factor, because, I mean, as an adult, I was married prior to my, you know, I was married before.
Same.
And when I remember when I was contemplating divorce, I was just like, oh no, that's so shameful, because my parents are still married, my sister and her husband, the people you respect, and you just like, no, I can't get a divorce. I have to work things out. Even though I knew this marriage is not, we shouldn't even have gotten married, to be honest. But it was just the shame factor that kept me in that marriage for even longer than what it should have lasted. And it's again, back to your parents. I'm what are people gonna think? I no, que va a pensar la gente? And I was kind of like a go back and forth. Oh, let me try it out. I do have my son. Oh no, and just the shamefulness of being a single mom and the Catholic Church again. It's just like I got married through the through the church. Yes, and it's just like, oh no, and so it's a bit family, a bit religion that you really have to work through that shame, because you do like guilt is just it permeates through every essence of your life almost until let's face it, even now, I'm happily married, with my second husband, and he is my soulmate, but then you still have that guilt. Like right now I have the guilt. I have to get an annulment from my first marriage. Yeah. And even when I go to mass and I can't receive the Holy Eucharist.
You can come to St. Monica's because you could do that there.
So even that still lingers. The guilt and the shame still lingers through adulthood from how you initially were raised and your beliefs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's incumbent upon us now at our age and our stage in life to change that around. So what can we do as superpower amigas to pave the way for our listeners out there who are in those positions of like, oh my God, I'm being shamed for this reason. I can't leave this marriage for that reason. My parents don't love me enough that I can't go out because of X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. What do you guys think would be the first step in changing this dynamic that we live in? Yes, Veronica.
I think it's starting with us. Like Alex says, like sometimes we find ourselves, acting like our mothers, and it's like, stop. I don't want to do that, because there's things I don't want to do that, my mom did when she was raising me. But I think it starts within us, and having more communication, being more open-minded, and having a relationship with your child. Yeah. I think that's so important. I know my son and I have a wonderful relationship. I have made it a point never to miss out on his life, and he respects me a lot. I think he loves me more than Dad, even though he says he loves both of us. But he talks to me about so many issues, and I think instead of me regañarlo, and I'll give you an example. 6th grade, he wanted to be a cool little boy, right? And he got social media. I didn't know about it. I found out through another mom, which I talked to him about it. He says, if you ever want to do something, you need to ask me. You need to ask permission, first of all. And so he got social media, Instagram, and then he sent a private message to a girl that happened to be a teacher's daughter, and told her she had a nice ass. And the principal calls me, because he went to a Lutheran school, very strict, zero tolerance. And she says, Miss Franco, there was some inappropriate, Instagram messaging. And I go, no, that can't be my son. My baby boy. No way.
No, you have the wrong Franco.
So, my son did deny it. He said it was a hacker. And I was like, okay. And I told the principal, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. But you know what? I didn't get upset. He finally confessed that it was him. I did not get upset. I just told him, oh my goodness. We had a serious talk about social media. And, and he understood, and he was suspended in office suspension, and he learned his lesson, and we moved on, and that's it. I mean, I just didn't, no lo iba a regañar. I wasn't gonna make him feel ashamed of that. It's just, you know what, it was gonna happen, and we just go through the motions. You have to pay the price, and that's it. But that was my little so it's just starting for me. It's starting with myself, not making the mistakes my mom made with me. I think communication is super important with your child, and having a relationship with them too, not being their friend, but being a parent.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I totally agree. I find myself like when I'm about to, I what they say to me, it's like, okay, Ophelia, because that's the name of my mom. When I do something, I'm like, no. I get myself scared. I'm so scared. But like I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not gonna repeat this. I'm not gonna repeat it. So I find myself sometimes when I get in that situation, I'm like, okay, yeah, I gotta be very careful, like not to lash out, because I know how I felt when I was being lashed out. Right? So I'm really being very trepidatious in the way that I respond to my child, because I know that words are so powerful and lasting. To this day, I'm a 46-year-old woman, and I have those words.
Remember. Yeah, you still remember those words.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it really does start it starts with us as parents. And if we're not parents, what else can we do? Because I know, Monique, you're not a parent thus far, right?
No, not this. No, and I may not be. I'm getting there. We'll see. Yeah, it's kind of like that TikTok time. But I'm going to be honest. It kind of goes in line with what we were talking about, is that's something that I never really visioned up, which for my mom and my aunts was like, like, what do you mean? But for me, I just try to have the courage to be vulnerable and to express my joy. I do a lot of writing and journaling, because when I was young, and it's kind of funny because my dad recently found this and I was mortified. I used to have a really hard time communicating with my mom. Yeah. So I felt that I needed to get that frustration out. So I would write in my journal, notes and letters to my mom, and telling her exactly what I needed to say, and just get it out that way. I would always visualize things, and I just keep dreaming and just really try to pour into myself, so that my nieces, other women in my life can see that, you can really do anything that you want to do. You just have to be okay with dreaming. So I just try to pour into myself. I try to meditate and write and deal with those things that may have bothered me growing up. My mom and I have a beautiful relationship now. And there are times when my dad found that, and he's laughing because they're still married. And he goes, I agree with some of those things. And I'm like, Dad, you're not supposed to. Oh, yeah. So yeah, that's just how I dealt with it growing up. Like, if I didn't feel like I can express myself, I would just write it in a journal. And I'm a blogger now, and I use a lot of the same material, and it just creates dialogue in the community for other people to say, hey, I've been through this too, or to speak with what Fanny was saying. Like, I too went through a divorce, and went through that whole shame bit, especially with having grandparents and parents and aunt and uncles that have been married forever. You just don't get a divorce, so that was a big deal. And so I journal. I just really pour into myself and try to heal, because I feel like I can be no good to anybody unless I keep pouring into myself, which is not something we were taught. So I'm doing my best to do that every day so I can be better for my family, for my community. It's not easy, but it starts with you, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. That's beautiful. Yes, I mean,
Thank you.
There's so many things you can do. Journaling, my goodness. So, amigas out there, journal. It's so amazing how therapeutic that is.
But hide it. Hide it really good.
Oh yeah, because I didn't hide it good, clearly.
Get a lock on it.
Yes.
For real, for real.
Yeah. But it's super important what it does to you when you write. And if you write in a way that you are kind to yourself and forgiving, then you start loving yourself. And then to say, okay, well, now, yes, you called, let's say, for example, like your mom. Let's just say, well, she's a fucking bitch. I hate her. But you're writing it, and you're purposely writing these things, and you're looking at it, so you know, like, okay, you put it on paper, and then you can let it go.
Right, right.
And that is one way of handling it, right? That's one way how an amiga can handle her shit. By writing it out. Yeah. Or, obviously talking it out as well. For those of us like me, who's still scared at the age of 40. I still quiver, but at the same time, I've worked a lot on myself so that I don't stay stuck in that reality that I believe is of shame. I don't stay stuck there. And for those of you who are listening, remember that it's up to us, that whatever is happening is for us. It's not to us, it's for us. And so that we can find solace, comfort in people, in resources, in writing, in speaking. And so never stop seeking out help and seeking out kindness and compassion. And remember to have lots of compassion for yourself, foremost. And like Esther Hicks says, you have to be selfish. You have to be selfish with your words and your view, because once you are selfish enough, you have all the wisdom and the power and the love inside of you, then you can give it away. And you can choose how to give it away. Ah, my ladies, we can talk about this for hours and hours. And but I'm so. I'm sorry, what was that?
She's all but Juan Pollo's waiting.
Yeah, dinner's waiting out there. I thank you so much, ladies, for everything. I mean, this was beautiful. It's just, I love how natural it is to talk about these things and how we're not afraid to speak up anymore. We're not.
Thank you for your insights, Jackie.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you. No, thank
you.
you all. And I love this conversation, and we must repeat again. Absolutely, right? I'm so excited.
Yes, let's do it.
For sure.
We'll pick another topic. We'll pick another topic. So I just wanted to say thank you all, and everyone out there at the Amiga Handle Your Shit. Listen, whatever you do, always have compassion first for yourself, because then, only then, you can have compassion for others. So, any last words, ladies? Any other tips for these amigas so that they can handle their shit?
Be okay with being yourself. Definitely. And pour into yourself and give yourself joy.
Yes.
Put yourself first, always.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Can I say one more?
Yes.
Seek out for help. Don't be ashamed.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Can't go anywhere else.
Yes. Amen to that. And on that note, we will sign off. This is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie.
Yay, Jackie.
Yay. Thank you, Jackie.